Good morning. It's morning for me anyway, and it's another beautiful day. And for those who don't know me, my name is Jeannie, and I'm telling my story in my search for what's caused me the social anxiety, what's given me the fear to go outside of my home. So I don't know much about technology. Yes, I have a desire, but I don't know very much about it. But you will find sometimes I pull words from the air. Sometimes I make up words. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. But I hope you enjoy my stories, and what I want you to get from my stories, if you suffer social anxiety the way I do, if you go to a psychiatrist, they're going to ask you to talk about it, and then they're going to stick their points of view in. So I just tell you my stories. If it relates to you, maybe it will help you, or maybe it'll give you the desire to search for your own root cause of social anxiety. So, and I also want to say that I'm a wellness advocate for doTERRA. And further on down the line, I would talk about it. I never prepare my stories. I just go with the flow. So today, I'm going to talk about 6 years of my childhood. And this is episode 5. In episode 4, I had told you about where my stepmother had tried to kill us, and then my father took me to live with my mother. That was very traumatic for me because, one thing, I don't know if it's true because I can't remember, but I'm sure it's true, that my stepmother must have told me how bad my mother was, because people do these things. So anyway, we get to Austin, Texas, and the house is on Montopolis Drive, which is really nice because it kind of overlooks the city of Austin. And we live next door to a big Catholic church, and my memo lives next door. But when we drive up into the driveway, my stepfather and mother come out to meet us. And my stepfather, he gets on his knees and puts his arms out to welcome me. And I spit in his face. I don't know why I spit in his face, but I remember that very distinctly. My stepfather was a very good man. He was a Mormon missionary. That's how he met my mom. And we were active in the church of all my 6 years of childhood. We were the janitors. Cleaned the church every Saturday. But anyway, he was a fireman. Steady job. Unlike my father was a jack of all trades, moving here, moving there, and an alcoholic. So now I move into this home where church is very important. I live in one house, don't move. So life becomes very stable, very stable. And I get into church, and we're told we can't drink Cokes, we can't smoke cigarettes, we can't drink coffee. And one day somebody offered me a Coke, and I went, oh no, I can't drink a Coke. I'm a Mormon. We don't drink Cokes. And then we went on a picnic, and the bishop of the church was drinking Coke. That kind of confused me. But one of my really good memories is of my sister Tommy. I think she was the family pet, actually. But she was walking through the kitchen with a handful of dirt. And she kept walking back and forth with these handfuls of dirt. And so finally my mother asked, Tommy, what are you doing with this dirt? She said, well, I'm putting out the fire in the closet. I was told dirt puts out fires. So Tommy is, probably about 18 months younger than me. And she had started a fire in the closet, and then she was going to put it out with the dirt. It was her experiment. So it was very, very embarrassing for my stepfather because he was one of the firemen who had to come and put the fire out at his house. And then my other memory of Tommy was she got lost. We couldn't find her. We looked everywhere for her. She was nowhere to be found. So we called the police because Tommy was missing. My mother was so upset. But she had the clothes she had washed that day. She had them laying on the bed. So she just sat down and started folding the clothes. And as she started getting into it, she found Tommy's little naked body. Tommy had taken a shower and gone to the clean clothes to get clothes to put on and fell asleep and was covered with all the, I guess she got cold and she just snuggled up all in the clothes. So that is my good memories of Tommy, and we were still on Montopolis. Oh, in my memo, she would have family reunions, and there were the three of us. My mother, she was an excellent seamstress, so she made us all dresses that looked the same. And even her dress and Johnny's shirt, we all matched. We were a family, and we were a happy family. And the tub, Mama had a big old tub full of ice and Cokes. And I really like that. And the memories are pouring in, and I'm kind of getting off the topic I wanted to talk, but I am on the topic I'm going to talk because there was no anxiety. Life was good. And so I must have been 6 years old, turning 7 at that time. I can't put all the years the time because you know how the memory is. We remember what we want and we forget what we don't want to remember. And sometimes our memory's not accurate because we can be together doing the same thing at the same time with each other, and we each recall it differently. So I'm just go by my recalls. Maybe Tommy remembers her experience in the clothes differently than I do, or maybe she doesn't remember it all. But it's pretty cool. So anyway, we moved from Montopolis, and I really miss not living next door to my Mamo, because my Mamo, she had a big rose garden and she grew zinnias, and I think that's where my love of roses came from, but I like zinnias much better. Her house had a porch on it that was screened in, and in the summer times we could sleep on the porch, and it was really nice. And she had a cat, and she fed the cat in her dishes. Ugh. I know that cat ate out of that dish, and now I have to eat out of that dish? I don't think so. So I guess you can tell there's no gloom and goon. I can't even say it. There's no anxiety this video because I have a happy face. Anyway, we moved into a neighborhood. We bought us a Nash Philip Copus house. It cost a whole $7,000. So expensive, so expensive. It was a nice 3-bedroom, 1-bath, brick, 1-car garage, brick home. It was on like a little curve on the road. Had some really cool friends. I think my favorite singer at that time was Wayne Newton. Anyway, life was good. Play paper dolls. Oh, Tommy. Back to Tommy. No, maybe it was Tommy. She didn't learn her lesson, I guess. Or she hadn't had time to. No, it was. Wrong story, wrong time. But we shared, Anita, Linda, and I shared a room. Me, I always kind of stayed to myself. I would go out in the big backyard, and we had a huge drain ditch back there, and I would play in the drain ditch, and I would play Robinson Crusoe. When I got too many imaginary friends coming into my game, I would quit playing and go off and do something else. Because here you are on a deserted island, and where are these people coming into my imagination? My world gets crowded. And one of the things about anxiety is, you kind of want to be isolated. You don't. So I would have to quit playing, and I would go on. And there was a boy next door. We would play with him a lot. I remember we would play Army. We have our little Army men, and we play Army. And one day I'm digging my shelter for my Army men, take my shovel and I shove it over my head, hit Linda right in the nose. And kind of stopped our day of playing, but I didn't get punished or anything like that. And the song by Floyd Kramer, Your Last Date, that was Uncle Virgil's favorite song. And he would come over and play with. And he was really close to Tommy, too. And Tommy got things that we didn't get, and sometimes I would feel a little jealous. But she'd been in the family longer, so I guess she got the attention she deserved. I don't know. Every Saturday morning was cleaning day, but we got to watch our cartoons before we had to do our cleaning. Gosh, the memories just pop. But those 6 years of my life, I got to go home and spend the summer with my daddy. So I got to spend 2 months of the year with my daddy. And my daddy was a jack of all trades. I know one summer he was a shrimp boat captain on the Lucky Lady, and he was in Rockport. But he wasn't with Susie anymore. He had found another lady that became my stepmother for the rest of my life, and that was Betty. And I'm not going to put this in sequence because I can't remember how to put the sequence in. But when we were in Rockport, we were right across the street from the bay. And one day, Anita and Linda, we found a boat. The boat had a hole in it, and we found a bucket of tar. So we fixed the boat. We don't even let the tar dry. I mean, you could put feathers on us. We had so much tar. Anyway, we took the boat out. We got to the end of where the pier had stopped, and our boat sunk. And so we had to swim back to the shore. And I'm not a very good swimmer, so I don't really know how that happened. But then we took the bucket that we had the tar in, and we went crabbing. And we got us some crabs, and we cooked our crabs in this bucket of tire. I think we tried to eat it too, but it didn't taste too good. And of course, I got Linda too that summer, because we were down somewhere under the house, because I think the house was on stilts. I can't remember. Or we had a garage, or we had something. Anyway, there was a folding bed, and I was jumping on the folding bed. And so was Linda. And I jumped off. My half popped up, hit her in the face, broke her tooth. And little Roy, he hadn't got epilepsy yet. He climbs to the top of the house. I don't know how old that would make little Roy. But anyway, he was much younger than me. And he got on top of the house, and he peed down the pipe. Oh, my grandmother, she came running out of the house because that pipe went into the kitchen. And that was pretty cool. And Betty, she did not like Swiss cheese. So the three of us, Anita, Linda, and me, we got some Swiss cheese, and we put it in her pillow so she would have to smell it all night. But that was a beautiful summer, and there are so many other memories that go with that summer. It was a beautiful summer. And then another summer, we went to Daddy's house, and this time he was a farmer, and he was raising cotton for the landlord. It wasn't his farm. It was rented, and his rent was farming the cotton. And so we had to go out in the mornings and hoe cotton. I never seen weeds so high over my head. But throughout the cotton patch, he had planted watermelons. So as you get hot, then you just open a watermelon, and that was your water and your nutrition and everything. So I think we spent most of the time eating the watermelons and not hoeing cotton. We were terrible cotton hoers. So the homeowner, he got the migrant workers out there to hoe the cotton. But also, there was a horse on the land and a cow. So we had a horse and a cow. And our chore also, since we couldn't hoe cotton, was to milk the cow. I didn't. I watched. But Anita and Linda did the milking of the cow. And Linda's milking the cow. And Linda goes, "I don't like this milk." And Anita says, "Why not? It's pasteurized." And Linda said, "Yeah, it's hockeyized too." And it's amazing the cow didn't kick us, because we sure didn't behave around the cow. And then we take the bucket of milk into the house, and Daddy skims the cream, and he makes butter, and he makes cottage cheese. But he ain't going to get us to drink that hockeyized milk. I'm telling you, we're city girls. We don't do that thing. And the horse, we want to ride the horse, right? But the horse isn't having it. he'd run and run and run, and we'd chase and chase and chase, and we'd get tired, and then I think the horse would laugh at us because we really never did get to ride except maybe once the whole summer. And that year also, the owner of the land came, and he had 2 tractors and a big chain, and they drove, and they just knocked down all the trees. And from the trees became a lot of tarantulas. So we collected tarantulas. I caught 54, and I was a loser. But that was a good day. And we had an outdoor toilet there too. So we had our experiences with rattlesnakes. Snakes didn't scare me. But one day, Grandma, she sent me to the garden to get some mustard greens. She made a really good mustard green salad. She would wilt the mustard greens with bacon drippings. Oh gosh, it was so good. Anyway, that snake scared me when I went into the garden. He wasn't going to let me. It's a big old rattlesnake. He wasn't going to let me have any mustard greens. So I just backed off and left. He can have the mustard greens. Told Grandma there's a snake in the garden, and went on. And then we had this beautiful peach tree. We'd climb up into the peach tree and sit. Now I look at a peach tree. They're not that big. I must have been awful tiny. Oh, what else did we do that summer? The name of the town we were in was Paris, Texas. But just so many things happened that summer, so many good memories. Then another summer, oh gosh, we were in Port Lavaca. I don't know what my daddy was doing then. We lived over by Aunt Ann and Uncle Bob. Loved Aunt Ann and Uncle Bob. He'd get there and play that fiddle. Gosh, it was so good. Loved it. But anyway, I'm sitting. I can't remember too much about that summer, except I slept by the window, and some man crawled over my bed and was in the kitchen. And he wasn't supposed to do that, and that's all I remember. My dad fixed that window so the man couldn't get in anymore. But another day I remember was I was sitting on top of the propane tank, and I was watching a lightning storm over Port Lavaca, because we weren't really in Port Lavaca, we were in Port Comfort. But the whole sky was just filled with lightning. It was so cool, just sitting there. Again, I'm alone, because I get into those things like lightning storms and stuff. A beautiful, beautiful lightning storm. Just the whole horizon was nothing but lightning. It caused a lot of damage. A lot of damage it caused. Trying to think. I can't remember. Summers, because I'm getting behind, but I always look forward to summer. But life was always calm at our house. Well, I can't say that either, because I don't think my stepfather liked Anita or Linda. I never got much trouble, like I said. I was a loner. I stayed by myself. I'd get on my bicycle, and I'd take off, and I'd go to Walnut Creek, and I'd spend the day. just walking around. And I remember one time I jumped over a snake because he was in my way. I wasn't going to wait for him to move, so I just went on. And I laid down by the creek because it was clay, and played with the crawfish. So pleasant, I loved it. And they even had this big gully that had this pipe, I guess about so big around. And it was about maybe 20 feet long going across it. And I walked across that. I got myself in a lot of danger playing by myself. I even went into a cave. And I said to myself, oh, this cave's going to cave in. So I got out. But I spent a lot of time on Walnut Creek. I spent a lot of time on my bicycle just riding all over Austin, too. And I rode my bike to my other grandma's house. And I like that grandma too because she always had cookies. Spent the night with her. And Tommy says, I'm going to sleep right here in the middle so you don't take all the bed. So she took all the bed. It was a very uncomfortable night. But so many memories. But it had its dark side too. Johnny was always beating Anita, and he was always beating Linda. My form of punishment was to be put in the closet. So I already know that's why I don't like to be in a closet. I don't like closed spaces. So I'm studying where did my anxiety, social life, why do I want to stay off by myself all my life? But Linda, I don't have any stories to tell about Nita, but Linda, the harder he hit her with the belt, the harder she would laugh at him. She would laugh at him. He'd hit her. You could just hear the belt crack when he would hit her. She wouldn't cry. She'd laugh at him. Hit me again. Hit me again. Ha! You can't hurt me. Then when he left, then she cried. But she would never show any fear to him. Linda is very hard-headed, and she was very hard-headed till the day she died. But we left Austin, and we moved to Boulder, Colorado. I just wish I could remember my other vacations that I went on with my dad. I'll remember them later, and it'll be too late for this video. But we moved to Boulder, Colorado, and all the houses looked the same. So if you got lost, had to look for how the front window was decorated to know if it was your house or not. And I think we had a blue bottle in our window, so that was our house. And they had trash men, but you burned your trash in the backyard just the same. And I would go out in the backyard, and I would just play in that backyard. Not too much with my my imaginary friends, because I think I got kind of too old for them. They outgrew me. But I would just go around moving rocks, and I was lonely for Texas, and I wanted to build a rock garden that looked like Texas. I never finished it. Didn't have enough rocks. But I remember I checked in school on Monday, and I checked out on Friday. Because my mother and stepfather were fighting. Mary and Jennifer Had Mary and Jennifer and Dawn, my brothers. I think Anita was already gone. And I think Linda was already gone. And this was my first semester of the 6th grade. And life was good with my stepfather, so I had no complaints. But he asked me, he said, "Do you want to go live with your father?" Oh, and the adventures with my father. Oh, yes. I want to go live with my father. I want to have these adventures. So, packed me up, sent me back to Texas. That time, my daddy was living in Tokyo, Texas. And he was driving a truck for cotton gin. And we had an outdoor toilet. Now, see, with my stepfather, all the facilities were in the house. Anything and everything we needed was provided. But with my daddy, the outdoor toilet, not everything was provided. Sometimes he would have to go pick up his commodities. I love the cheese and the pork. Not so much the beef, but like the pork. And our bed was army cots. Oh, it was so cold too. It had to be around October, November. And we had one blanket, and Linda and I had our army cots put together. And I remember she pulled the blanket, and I moved closer to it, and then you would get so cold because you would hit on the iron part of the bed. It was just freezing. And we washed our clothes in a tub, and we took a bath in the tub. But out back in the house was a windmill, and the windmill was pumping the water, and there was a big pond, and there were so many goldfish in the pond. All you had to do was drop a bucket, and you had all the goldfish you wanted. They just covered that pond. And one day I climbed up to the top of the windmill. Do you know, I'm afraid of heights. I couldn't get down. There was no way I could get down. It was pretty cool, though. My daddy climbed up, and he brought me down. And you know, I'm ahead of my story. Because when I went to live with my daddy for the first time, it wasn't Tokyo. It was Dili. We moved to Dili. It was Dili. Yeah. That's where I lost my virginity at the age of 12. Because my aunt's brother took advantage of me. But we would always go to the watermelon patch and steal watermelons. So I had all these watermelons under their bed. Until this day, I don't understand why watermelons go bad. They didn't go bad that summer. So every time we wanted watermelon, we just go under the bed and rip it open. And Anita was there. And Linda came later. Yeah. But Anita didn't stay. Because when When we moved to Tokyo, it was just me and Linda. We wear our hair in the flip. You know, we were so cool. We sit in Tokyo, we sit on the propane and look up at the stars. And Linda was in love with Pernell Roberts. Me was Michael London. Pernell Roberts had hair back then, or a good wig, I don't know. But we would just dream about our dream boys. But when we go back to Dibble, I ran away from home. Because, I don't know, I'm getting confused in my story. But it's just a story anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I ran away from home. And I ran back to Port Lavaca, to my grandma. Loved my grandma Peoples. Well, my daddy found me. He got a switch. Oh, he cut my legs. Never ran away from him again. But then I have to back up again because I didn't go to Dibble. I didn't go to Dilly then. I was sent to Port Lavaca. That's where it was. I started in Port Lavaca living with my father. And I was going to school. And I had an attitude problem, I guess. I don't know, maybe I did. But I know that I went from a middle-class family down into a very poor family. That we actually had to survive, where with John we just lived a nice life. So I was in the 6th grade, and every morning, I don't know, the teacher didn't like me, so I must have had an attitude problem. She would come in, she would take my homework, and she would tear my homework up. And then when it was time to grade the papers, she would say, "Well, Miss Peoples, where is your homework?" And usually I would just cry. And she kept doing this, and she kept doing it. And then one day, the B word's not my word, but one day I said, "You crazy bee, you tore it up." Boom, to the office I went. They gave me a tranquilizer. I went home. I told my stepmother. My stepmother went in to ask what kind of drug they were giving. Oh, we didn't give her anything. And I did carry a knife. I don't know why. I wasn't that tough to carry a knife, but it was a knife. Well, I did carry my knife to school. It got taken away from me. But I did find a volunteer work that I really, really enjoyed. I would go to the health center where they give them shots and stuff. And my job was to sanitize and clean the needles for the next victim. And I really, really enjoyed that. And the teacher, I put sugar in her gas tank. So that's so bad now that I think about it. It wasn't too bad for me back then. But, you know,